Everybody, Douglas Blair Roberts here, the Super Vader 400, and of course the Brown Skin Human, coming back at you in another video. And this time, this is my intro, this is my second intro to my series of Disney Channel sitcom, Disney Channel sitcom reviews, the late 2010s edition, the late 2010s sitcoms. There will be another intro video for the retro Disney Channel sitcoms, but this is the late 2010s right here, the late 2010s sitcoms, particularly Sydney to the Max, Cooper and Cammy Ask the World, Gabby Duran and the Unsittables, and Raven's Home. And I'm thinking about including Bunked, the newest season, the seasons 3 and 4 of Bunked, and the newest Disney Channel sitcom, Just Roll With It. Just Roll With It. These right here, these are remakes. These are webcam remakes of my narration reviews, where I go more in depth, talk more in depth about the actors, the actresses, and the sitcoms, the narration reviews, which those will be in the description box below for people who want to see those. Those were just short. Those were just short reviews giving my thoughts on these awesome series. This is me talking about these series after watching multiple episodes and in their seasons in their entirety. So with that being said, let's get started right now. We can do what we want if we put our minds to it. Hey everybody, it's now time for the review intro portion of my review of the Disney Channel sitcom Gabby Duran and the Unsittables, starring Venezuelan actress Kali Control as Gabby Duran. Gabby Duran, a um a 13-year-old girl, a 13-year-old girl recently moved to I think hold on, what was the plot again? Um yeah, moving to Havensburg, moving to Havensburg from I think Florida or Colorado. I can't remember, but she moves to um Havenburg, and she's constantly in the shadow of her successful mother and her super intelligent sister. One day, on the very first episode, after getting in trouble with the principal, after she tries to immediately get kicked out so she can go back to where they came from. She the principal Lovejoy, the principal principal Lovejoy instead enlists her gives her a job and enlists her to babysit to babysit to babysit Jeremy, and a shape-shifting alien humanoid kid, and several other aliens and alien children, and that begins the plot of the show. Gabby Duran teams up with her best friend Wesley, portrayed by Maxwell Ace Donovan, who's an alien conspiracy theorist, a guy who believes in aliens to help her help her babysit babysit aliens help her babysit aliens, and it follows their misadventures. The show has so far has 19 episodes and has ran for surprisingly only one season. The second season will premiere sometime this year, but they haven't released a date. But they immediately, as soon as this season ended, they announced another season. Another season. The main characters are Gabby Duran, Jeremy, the shape-shifting kid, Gabby Duran's sister, um, Dina, Gabby Duran's caring single mother who's a news reporter at Channel 6, and Nathan Lovejoy as Principal Swift. Valerie Ortiz portrays Dina, and Nathan Lovejoy portrays Principal Swift, the principal of Havenburg Junior High, who is also an alien, and the uncle of the um, Jeremy character. Other characters, reoccurring characters include um, or a a a technological orbit. I think that controls a giant body. Um, Julius, a waiter of the Luchas Nachos place they like to go, and Sky, a telepathic alien girl who becomes Gabby Duran's best friend. And in the season one finale, you have what's her name? I'm looking it up right here. In the season finale, Enter the Dranis. You have um oh yeah, you have Dranis, sister, Jeremy's sister. So yeah, you have a for the most part you have an awesome show. This show is unique in that this is the only Disney Channel show that is not produced by It's Alive Productions. It's Alive Productions. I keep forgetting who produces this show. Um, yeah, this show is produced by oh yeah, Omni Film Entertainment, and the show is produced in Vancouver, Canada. Even though the show features Hispanic, Venezuelan, and American-based actors, it's a Canadian. It's a Canadian-based This is a Canadian-based sitcom, and it's a sci-fi comedy. The show is vastly similar to Phil of the Future, all of those Canadian live-action Canadian television shows, and a children's version of the X Files, and a previous Disney Channel sitcom that I only saw bits and pieces of, and that's stuck in the stuck in the middle. But yeah, This was the next show I saw, and this was the third show I saw in 2020, 2020, and during reruns, and I instantly became a fan. I instantly became a fan of this show for another thing I like about this show, it doesn't use a stupid laugh track. Yes, with laugh track. I hate laugh tracks. Either live action audience like Fresh Prince, Full House, and Saved by the Bell back in the day, or no laugh tracks like Malcolm in the Middle, Life with Derek, Lizzie McGuire, Even Stevens, Phil of the Future, and Naturally Sadie. Those type of shows. Those type of shows. It doesn't use a what's his name, and I like its cool sci-fi alien plot. That separates it. That separates it from the other. That separates it. That separates it and makes it unique amongst the other Disney Channel sitcoms, including having a Venezuelan actress in Kylie Control, who is like one of Disney Channel's newest stars, who is great at it, who has her own unique, cool clothing style, awesome singer, rapper, actress, and everything. A lot of people compare her to Selena Gomez. I think she's better than Selena Gomez. Selena Gomez, and yeah, the other actors and actresses are in the show are pretty good too, and the show is hilarious. The only character who occasionally gets on my nerves is Principal Lovejoy, and sometimes Jeremy. Even though I will say one thing about Jeremy, Jeremy is a much better kid character in this show than the Ollie character in Cooper and Cammy Ask the World. He's way better than the Ollie character in Cooper and Cammy Ask the World, and way more useful. Then you have way better, way more likable, and way more useful. They have Principal Lovejoy. He can he's a good character, but in in, he can occasionally be over emotional and real cheesy. Like in one episode he got when he there was something about the kids hating him, and it nearly made him quit being a principal. And he was just crying and being a bitch and being a wimp and a pussy throughout the entire episodes, and had dumb stuff like when he said he has ear farts. Ear farts, yes, that actually happens in the show. We're gonna talk about that in the season one review overview portion of this review. But yeah, that's the those that's it. But you have a great cast of characters, actors and actresses, and one of the best shows around. Which brings to the only part I don't like. Just like with Sydney to the Max, just like with Cooper and Cammy Ask the World, Gabby Duran and the Unsittables, this show is rarely seen. You only see this around holidays now. It was reran all the time back in the summer of 2020, but towards the end of the summer and fall of 2020, they stopped airing the show. They stopped airing the show, only airing it on special like holidays and special occasions, and sometimes just during the weekend. Once again, this is a currently premiering show. This should be on all the time. This should be constantly reran on the channel. But instead, they got to make way for terrible shows like Bunked, Jesse, terrible shows like Jesse, which is old, and then Bunked, which is I actually like now, but that should have been canceled long ago. So yeah, This was my review intro of Gabby Duran and the Unsittables. Get ready for the season reviews next. Season one review. There's only been one season. Hey everyone, it's time for the next part of my re-review and overview of Gabby Duran and the Unsittables. I did another one which will be uploaded with this video before, which I haven't uploaded that video yet. I did another one because in the first one I was constantly getting names wrong. I did the first one without rewatching any episodes of Gabby Duran and the Unsittables because I wanted to complete the video and the review as fast as I could. But because I did that, I got a lot of names wrong, and couldn't really explain that much about the series because so much happens in each episode. So I decided to rewatch a couple of episodes, my favorites to be exact. my favorites to be exact, and redo this video right here. As always, I'm gonna do an overview, a review and overview of this season, and give my thoughts on the upcoming season of Gabby Duran and the Unsittables, which should premiere, I guess, summer of this year. At first, it was thought it would be, it was said it was going to be June, but somebody typed that because I can see it's been removed because I don't see it anywhere anymore. Someone said it was going to be June. It was going to be June, but it should definitely premiere this sometime this year, and I guess it'll be this summer because most of the shows, most of the new premieres of the current shows that are running, City to the Max, Just Roll with It, Raven's Home, and Bunked in sometime. Sorry about that. In sometime in May. So with that being said, yeah, the episode of choice that will play in the background is the season finale, Enter the Drainus. One of my favorite episodes. My favorite episodes of Gabby Duran and the Unsittables are the pilot episode, Who is Joey Panther, the very first episode I saw. Um, Vortex and Switching, something like that. I think that was the title. Vortex is, well, this is the episode where Gabby Duran and Wesley accidentally kiss, and of course, the season finale, Enter the Drainage. There was also another episode I enjoyed. I don't remember the title, but I remember bits and pieces of the episode. I saw this while I was doing something else, which is why I don't remember much about this episode. But Wesley was dressed as a giant chicken, and he said something serious, and then the Jeremy, the younger alien, said, "You know that was stupid, right?" So with that being said, let's get started with this season review. This was an awesome season to start. Gabby Duran and the Unsittables. I enjoyed every episode, with the five I just mentioned being my all-time favorite and best, in my opinion. These are the episodes I remember the most from the quote-unquote series, the quote-unquote series. So yeah, my issues with this season I'll get to at the end of this video. But yeah, so let's start that episode right now. So yeah, in the pilot episode, Gabby Duran, Gabby Duran, portrayed by Callie Control, is it has her and her family have just moved to Denver, Colorado, and she misses her hometown of Florida, and now has to quickly adjust to her new life, and of course, like I said, the plot is in the shadow of her intelligent sister and her super successful mother. On the first day, she befriends her best friend and future partner in crime, partner in saving the world, alien conspiracy, Wesley. She tells him of her plan to get kicked out of school in hopes that she moves back, that it will get them to move back to Miami. It would get them to move back to Miami, Florida. So she does several things and gets called to the she does several things and gets called to the principal's office. Instead of expelling her, the principal instead demands to see her next day. And she then, since that didn't work, she tries to mess up his office as a final way to get expelled. But this doesn't work either. Instead, this just makes him angry, and instead of punishing her, gives her something even worse, and that's responsibility, an actual job. And that, of course, job is, of course, babysitting aliens, leading to the plot of this series. And he puts her in charge of his he puts her in charge of his alien kid, Jeremy, um, Jeremy, who of course disguises himself as a human and immediately becomes accustomed to human culture, which this provides the one of the main problems. This provides one of the main conflicts in the episodes. His people, the Gormites, I think that's what they're called. Carbonated drinks like root beer, which he drinks in this episode, are deadly to him. If he drinks them, he drinks them, and if he drinks them in several hours, if he doesn't wash it down with some kind of mint, with some kind of carbonated mint, he will explode. So he drinks the root beer. And throughout the episode, Gabby Duran has to find a carbonated mint, throw it, get him to inhale it, get him to swallow, get him to inhale and swallow it before he explodes, and before Principal Swift, Principal Swift, that's his name. I think I said Walker earlier. That's Principal Swift. Principal Swift will Principal Swift will remove her from the job. They managed to barely get away with it, but Principal Swift still catches on to them, and instead of expelling them, he criticizes them. He criticizes criticizes Gabby and Jeremy for endangering themselves, but then congratulates Gabby for successfully solving the problem. Thus, she's allowed to continue her job. The next episode, one of the other episodes I watched was another episode where Wesley, I think, was in charge of babysitting Jeremy, while Gabby went out and do something, and Wesley, this is a running gag with him. Whenever something serious, whenever he is tasked with something, he says it all in a serious voice, with dramatic music, with dramatic music. And then when he said something serious, the Jeremy kid said, "You know what? You know that was stupid, right?" And Wesley was like, "Yeah, I know." While dressed as a giant chicken. That's the only vivid memory I have of this episode. I don't remember the name, plot, or even what episode this was. I may find it when I do my video commentary review or my individual episodes review. Then you have the next one. Oh yes, one of my all-time favorites and one of the funniest. Who is Joey Panther? Who is Joey Panther? This is the episode with the big school dance. Big school dance. There are quote unquote there are quote unquote three plots. And this episode is also noticeable because this episode features the most absences for any characters. Gabby Duran's mother Dina doesn't appear, nor does her little sister appear in this episode. There are three plots. You have Gabby Duran's plot, which the episode starts off with her sleeping and dreaming about the perfect dance, which has her in a baggy gold suit, in a baggy gold jumpsuit, arriving via red carpet and limo at her school dance with Wesley as the chauffeur, much to his disapproval when Gabby Duran tells him about her dream the next day, and Gabby calmly defends and said, I wanted it to be realistic. Meanwhile, in Wesley's part, Wesley, who craves yogurt, has to take this Rhonda girl who embarrasses and babies him in public to the dance in exchange, because when they were younger, Rhonda gave Wesley yogurt. Wesley, who loves and craves yogurt, but Wesley had to live up to his end of the bargain, and that was take her to the dance in exchange for her yogurt. So Wesley, several years later, when they got older and attended their first school dance, Wesley had no choice but to live up to the Rhonda constantly embarrasses him. Wesley tries to get Gabby Duran to give up her goals of the perfect dance and help supervise help him with his problems. Gabby Duran at first agrees with it. That is until a mysterious guy named Joey Panther shows up. Shows up and he immediately has everything in common with Gabby Duran. Tells her everything she wants to hear, including her plan to arrive at the school dance via limo. Rhonda wanted to arrive in a minivan, to which Gabby Duran, to which when she leaves, Wesley says, I know she's weird now, but she's even weirder when we're both alone together. Then Gabby Duran comically says, wait, what I just saw was less weird. So anyway, Gabby is immediately bonding with Joey Panther, but is on to him, especially when Joey Panther says one of her catchphrases is "That's gravy." That's a common catchphrase that appears in the show, and it's here where Gabby Duran notices. She first knocks on him and notices he's 10, indicating that he's not human. He's a robot, and she's proven right when she opens his shirt, and it's the tiny furry alien Frizz controlling his body. Frizz, who developed a crush on Gabby Duran in this episode, badly wanted to go to the dance with her, so he researched teenagers and created the perfect teenager in Joey Panther. Gabby Duran rips him a new one figuratively, not for real, figuratively saying he cannot fool or trick people like this, and Frizz takes this as Gabby not wanting to go to the dance with him and runs off crying, leaves the robot, causing the robot to fall over, confusing everyone. Wesley, in order to help Gabby, finally stands up to Rhonda, saying he's lived to his end of the bargain and that he's an adult. He does not have to do what Rhonda says, and blows Rhonda off to go help Gabby, and he clears the scared and terrified people away while Gabby makes peace with Frizz and pretends to do CPR, and Frizz repilots the Joey Panther bot, and all is okay. Their secrets are saved, and it ends with each of them enjoying the dance, and then you got another episode, Vortex and Switching and Body Switching, something like that. I don't remember the other name. I don't remember the episode, the other word. But in this episode, this was the ultra hilarious episode where Gabby Duran and Wesley accidentally via some weird portal device technology accidentally trip and end up kissing each other. So throughout the episode, they try to they actually trip and end up kissing each other. So throughout the episode, they seek out Jeremy to get a portal device to wipe their memories of the event happening. But it turns out that the device Jeremy has, I think he stole it. It actually belongs to two Borgs, which according to the Gabby Duran Wikipedia page and trivia, Gabby Duran, due to her panic and encounter with the Borgs, she apparently has a problem with Borgs, and this leads to several mishaps. My favorite moment of this episode was a joke in the beginning after they kiss. Gabby Duran comically says, when they both kiss, Gabby Duran says, how do we deal with what just happened? How do we deal with what just happened? The same way I walked in, I think it was her grandmother, the same way I walked in on my grandmother shaving her back. We forget about it and never talk about it again. The way Kylie Control said that and the way she referenced and delivered it was just hilarious, and I bust out laughing when I saw this episode for the first time. And the whole episode, because of the plot, was just hilarious. Lots of hilarity and insanity in this quote-unquote episode right here of Gabby Duran and the Unsittables. Then you had the season finale. What a phenomenal way to close out season 1, and that is Enter the Dranis. Where one of the aliens, I think his name is Glorog, something like that. I keep forgetting his name, but he disguises himself as a human. He's Principal Swift's rival, and he disguises himself as a human and convinces Principal Swift and Jeremy that he's their new chief advisor, and that he has and that they must provide a report card. They must provide a report card or the king or the leader of the planet, who appears at the end of the episode, will send them to the hottest and coldest planet in the galaxy. So at first Jeremy refuses, but Principal Swift says no. Let's give him a good progress report and show him. And the next scene has them running around in lucha masks, to which Gabby walks in and says, as fascinating as this was, she demands permission to go to another planet. Principal Swift says he's not familiar with that galaxy, forbids Gabby Duran. And he was right, because this leads to a big problem later, not to go to this planet. Gabby Duran insists that she goes just because Principal Swift does not know about this particular galaxy, despite knowing about hundreds of other galaxies. That doesn't mean she shouldn't go. But she respects Principal Swift's wishes to his face, but immediately disobeys him behind his back. And her and Wesley go to the specific spot, which Wesley finds, but it turns out the spot kidnaps Gabby Duran and takes her to the main antagonist of this episode, Jeremy's sister, Dranis. Dranis reveals Gabby she kidnapped him in hopes that her brother Jeremy, whom she misses, will return, looking for her, and kidnaps her. Gabby Duran tries to run away, but it turns out the suit she's wearing, the baggy space suit she's wearing, is Dranis can control it with a device. So Gabby Duran has to choose between going to prison, or being food for some giant bird. She at first refused, but then chooses space prison, where she is immediately attacked, but then bonds with the other prisoners, thus escaping this place. And back on Earth, Principal Swift and Jeremy somehow notice Gabby is in danger, and so does Wesley, and so does Dina. So does not Dina, but her younger sister, Gabby Duran's younger sister, both Wesley and the younger sister believe that all this time they were the main characters of the story, and it's their job to rescue Gabby Duran. To which Principal Swift and Jeremy comically, this scene was mean, but it was funny. Comically, keep telling Wesley, we're going to rescue Gabby. We're going to rescue Gabby Duran. You are gonna sit up here. You're gonna sit up here and sign off on our pastry package, and tell him, don't you dare eat any of them. They first go to another planet, but the weird robot machine takes them to the wrong planet, takes them to a hot volcanic planet. They come back all burnt. Then they once again then this was the super serious thing where Wesley says, where they have a serious moment, says, Gabby Duran needs us. Yes. And Wesley says, all this time I've been the main character. This is my story, and together we're gonna rescue Gabby Duran. And then once again they comically correct him, says, oh, by the way, Principal Swift and Jeremy says, we're gonna rescue Gabby Duran. You're gonna sit here and guard our pastry. And they tell him he can't go because they don't have an extra uniform. It turns out when they arrive there, when they quote unquote arrive there, it turns out Wesley not too far comes back. Oh no, then it switches back to Gabby and Dranis. Says Gabby escaped the prison by bonding with the prisoners. Dranis then prepares to blow up Earth with a weird clock with a weird number language that no one can read, but they definitely know is a bomb. So then Principal Swift and Jeremy arrive, and not too far behind them is Wesley, who reveals they did have another suit. He comes in the suit, but he's wearing it backwards. And they all start arguing and fighting. To which Gabby Duran comically interrupts them, saying, we have no time for pastries. What's his name is going to blow up the earth. And here is where Dranis and Jeremy argue, they reconcile, but Gabby reminds them that this is all good and all, but but that clock's ticking. Can you stop them? Can you stop the clock before it explodes and blows up Earth? Blows up Earth. Jeremy convinces Drainus to not to blow up the Earth, but it's already too late because Drainus Drainus knew how to start the clock, but doesn't know how to turn it off. So Principal Swift, whom Drainus put his alien, turned him, trapped him in a giant Titanic tube, which called picks up. Gabby Duran picks up the Titanic tube and goes crazy and destroys the machine, and this stops the clock, and Earth is saved. Meanwhile, the leader of Drainus's planet comes back, and he reveals that first off, the Gorlong, the other alien, is not their chief advisor. He's Drainus's babysitter, which is a job he fails miserably at, and that then he reveals that he sent Jeremy to Earth because he and Drainus kept fighting, and Drainus reveals to Jeremy that she didn't visit him to say goodbye because it would have been too sad, because he didn't want her to leave and go. He didn't want her to leave and go. She didn't want him to leave, and the two then reconcile, and Principal Swift comically takes back his plunger, which this is probably the only part of this episode I hate. Both him and his rival alien keep drinking water from a plunger. Yeah, that's not something I want to see. To which Wesley comically replies, should we tell him that's from toilets? And then Gabby says, yeah, not now. And then they all go back home. Where they're confronted by Dina, to which Principal Swift criticizes Gabby and asks her why is her sister first off in the alien control room, and why is she not weirded out by all of the technology and alien stuff she sees. But things get, and then Gabby has no idea to explain it, but things get worse when behind Gabby is Dina coming back from somewhere and overhearing them say aliens, and this is where the series ends. I cannot wait till the season 2 premiere to pick up where this part left off. According to Wikipedia, the very first episode of this series is Mom Swipe, and I guess they don't have a plot yet, but I looked at some of the comments about the plot, and I guess because of the title, it will have them wiping their mom's mind. If this is the plot, I'm actually mixed towards it, because one, that does make sense, but at the same time, wiping out the mom's mom, that kind of takes the easy way out. I want to see the mom learning and adjusting to her daughter babysitting aliens and going on various adventures. One is to be realistic as possible. A mind swipe is realistic to some degree, but that's just constantly taking the easy way out, doing it all the time. A mind swipe. So yeah, that's the only issue I have. But I don't know yet, because it says the plot is to be announced. Then yes, now here comes the rant portion. I hated Disney's horrible treatment of this show and the other 3 shows. Sydney to the Max, Just Roll With It, Cooper and Cammy Ask the World. These are your newest premiering shows, and these shows were rarely on. Raven's Home was and it still is treated as the way it should be. It's the flagship show of Disney Channel, as is Bunk, which Bunked I like now, the newer seasons 4 and 5, and 3, even though 3 sucks to me too. But seasons 1 through 2 and 3 of Bunk and Jesse were absolutely terrible, and I was hoping that when Bunk ended, which it was supposed to end in 2018, but then they randomly renewed and extended it for another season. I was mad that they didn't have time for Sydney. They didn't have time for quote unquote Sorry, sorry, sorry. I had to take care of something. Sorry, something happened to the sound on one of my videos. On the video I was watching, but I thought there was something wrong with my actual sound. But no, it's just that video. Well, anyway, I'll deal with it when the video is over. Anyway, so yeah, these shows. They first off, yeah, they were barely on. These four shows I mentioned and bunked, which should have been canceled. Um, I'm happy with the new seasons and the retooling of the show, but that show should have been canceled. And I was bad. They still had time for not only Bunk but Jesse, which has been over for 5 years now, and 5 years now, and that's still on. They dedicate prime time airing to that schedule. That has a prime time. That has a prime time slot. Prime time, afternoon, evening, and sometimes nighttime. Nighttime slot on the network, whereas Sydney to the Max is as part of the current lineup. It's 11:30s weekdays with premieres being on Friday with reruns of those premieres on Saturday and Sunday. Um, is barely on the channel. Cooper and Cammy Astor, which is on Disney Plus now. Disney Plus now is not even on the main channel anymore and is in danger of being canceled. And is me danger of being canceled and is currently silently canceled. And Just Roll With It. Just Roll With It just recently returned to the network after being on hiatus for several months. And Sydney to the Max, their last new premiere was August 2020. Their last new premiere was August 2020, and they went the entirety of fall, the entirety of fall, and winter, and came back in unannounced and late in spring, as did so so yes, and same goes with Just Roll With It, and that was the issue I had with Disney's horrible treatment of these shows. These shows were newer premiering shows. They should be all over the channel. And Gabby Duran, their season premiere hasn't been announced yet. At first, it was thought to be June. Like I said, June of this year. I guess it will be June of this year because all of the new seasons and premieres of City to the Max, Ravens Home, and the rest, all of those end, quote unquote, this all of those end this all of those end this all of those end, quote unquote, this May. So the May. So those seasons, they end this May. So I guess Gabby Duran and the Unsittables will be this June, and will be this June, July, or something like that. June or July, because I think the show did premiere in July. So yeah, yeah. But that's the only problem I have with this awesome show. One of the best shows ever. One of the best shows ever. Can't wait till its return. Love rewatching it again. Rewatching some of it again for this review. Then rewatch it again for a video commentary review and episodes review in the future. So this has been Gabby Duran and the Unsittables. You don't want to hear the rest of the music? Turn the video off right now.